Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to shine a light on something that affects people in every corner of the world, regardless of age, background, or lifestyle. We're talking about foods that slowly damage the liver, often without people realizing it's happening. The liver is one of the most resilient organs we have, capable of bouncing back even after years of strain, but it can only repair itself if we stop overwhelming it with substances that make its job harder. Many people don't think about their liver until something goes wrong, yet the foods we eat each day play a much bigger role in liver health than most realize. As we explore this topic, the goal isn't to create fear, but rather to empower you with clear, practical knowledge so you can make choices that support better health, higher energy, and a stronger metabolism. A major category of food that challenges the liver is refined carbohydrates. These are foods that start out as natural grains, but are stripped of the outer layers that contain fiber, vitamins, and minerals. What remains is a soft, starchy interior that digests extremely quickly. White rice, white flour, and the breads, pastries, and crackers made from them are some of the most common examples. While these foods may taste comforting and familiar, refining the grain changes the way the body responds to it. Manufacturers often add back a handful of synthetic vitamins and label the product as enriched, but the truth is that what was removed far outweighs what is added back. When you eat these refined carbs, the body breaks them down into glucose almost instantly, causing a sharp rise in blood sugar and insulin. Over time, frequent spikes in insulin can push the body toward insulin resistance, a condition that dramatically increases the risk of fatty liver disease. Even foods that look healthy at first glance may fall into the refined carbohydrate category. For example, fruit juice may seem like a wholesome choice, but removing the fiber from fruit changes the way sugar behaves in the body. Fiber slows absorption, protects the digestive system, and moderates the insulin response. Without it, the natural sugar in fruit juice acts much like added sugar, entering the bloodstream rapidly. Similarly, rice cakes and crackers, even when made from whole grains, become problematic because their airy, puffed structure gives the digestive system fast access to starch. The more surface area a food has, the quicker the enzymes can break it down. This is why these foods hit the bloodstream so quickly, despite appearing light or low fat. When insulin rises frequently, the liver is forced to deal with the excess. The body cannot store unlimited amounts of glucose directly, so it converts what it can't use into fat. That fat often accumulates inside the liver first, leading to a condition known as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. What many people don't realize is that refining grains does not just create blood sugar issues, it also strips the food of the nutrients the liver needs to function properly. When the vitamins and minerals required for detoxification are missing, the liver struggles even more. So, refined carbs aren't harmful because of calories. They're harmful because they flood the system with sugar while providing none of the nutrients required for processing that sugar safely. Another major source of strain on the liver is sugar. While sugar is technically a carbohydrate, it behaves differently in the body compared to starch. Table sugar contains two types of molecules, glucose and fructose. The glucose portion can be used by every cell in the body, but fructose has only one destination, the liver. That means every time we consume sugar, especially in large or frequent amounts, the liver must bear the burden of processing all the fructose on its own. In small quantities, this is manageable, but in modern diets, sugar is no longer an occasional treat. People often consume sugar hidden in sauces, drinks, breakfast items, snack bars, cereals, condiments, and processed foods without realizing how quickly it adds up. Fructose pushes the liver into overdrive because it must be converted into fat before the body can do anything with it. This makes sugar especially problematic for fatty liver development. Even though fructose naturally occurs in fruit, whole fruit contains fiber and water, which slow the absorption dramatically. It's when fructose is concentrated, such as in high-fructose corn syrup, sweetened beverages, baked goods, and syrups, that it becomes overwhelming to the liver. When this happens repeatedly, the liver becomes more efficient at storing fat, but less efficient at burning it. Over time, this can spiral into metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions including high blood pressure, visceral fat accumulation, elevated triglycerides, insulin resistance, and eventually type 2 diabetes. Today, type 2 diabetes is one of the strongest predictors of liver damage. Around 2/3 of people with type 2 diabetes will also develop fatty liver disease. This is not because diabetes directly attacks the liver, but because the hormonal environment created by chronic high insulin forces fat into the liver at a rate faster than the body can remove it. What makes this even more concerning is how rapidly these diseases are spreading across the globe. Countries once considered low risk now show some of the highest rates of diabetes in the world. This shift has occurred not because of genetics, but because dietary habits have changed dramatically in just a few decades. Many people also worry about saturated fat, and this topic deserves clarification. Saturated fat has often been blamed for fatty liver disease, but modern research shows the real driver is excess carbohydrate intake combined with high insulin. People who consume a lot of fast food or junk food often consume saturated fat alongside refined carbs and sugar, making it seem like the fat itself is the culprit. But when saturated fat is consumed as part of a nutrient-rich low-sugar diet, particularly when it comes from natural foods like grass-fed butter, eggs, or high-quality meat, it does not produce the same harmful effects. This doesn't mean people should consume unlimited amounts of saturated fat, but rather that saturated fat alone is not what damages the liver. It's the combination of unhealthy fats, processed carbs, and excessive sugar that creates the dangerous metabolic environment. Speaking of drinks, sugary beverages are one of the stealthiest contributors to fatty liver disease. One bottle of soda can contain more sugar than most people would eat in an entire day if they stuck to whole foods. But the real issue is that sugary drinks are so easy to consume. They require no chewing, no digestion time, and they bypass many of the body's natural appetite mechanisms. Coffee drinks loaded with flavored syrups, sweetened tea, sports beverages, energy drinks, fruit punch, sweetened coconut water, milkshakes, these all deliver massive amounts of sugar directly into the bloodstream within minutes. Even drinks marketed as health supportive sometimes contain as much sugar as a dessert. The body is simply not designed to handle 50 to 70 grams of sugar in a few gulps. The more often this happens, the more strain is placed on the liver, and the faster fat begins to accumulate. And while some health agencies still recommend limits like 10% of daily calories from added sugar, this is far too high for most people. Many experts now agree that a realistic health-supportive amount is closer to 0 to 20 grams per day, especially for anyone concerned about metabolic health. A teaspoon of honey in tea or a square of dark chocolate is one thing. Multiple sugary drinks a day is entirely different. At the same time, type 2 diabetes is rising worldwide at a staggering rate. Countries on nearly every continent now report numbers similar to or worse than the United States. What was once considered a Western problem is now a global one. And because diabetes and fatty liver disease are so closely linked, any increase in one tends to increase the other. This is why understanding the foods and drinks that drive liver damage is more important now than ever. Alcohol is another well-known challenge for the liver, and while most people already know that heavy drinking can damage the liver, not everyone realizes why. The liver is the only organ that can break down alcohol, which means that every drop of alcohol you consume must pass through it. Even moderate drinking can place a strain on the liver over time, but what makes modern drinking habits especially harmful is the combination of alcohol with sugar. Many popular cocktails are mixed with syrups, juices, or sweet liqueurs that contain large amounts of fructose. That means the liver is hit with two of the most damaging substances at the same time: alcohol and fructose. Together, they create a metabolic load that the liver must deal with immediately, leaving little room for detoxification of other compounds or normal metabolic function. Sweet liqueurs, dessert wines, margaritas, daiquiris, and fruit-based cocktails are particularly hard on the liver. Even small servings can contain the equivalent of multiple tablespoons of sugar. Beer, while lower in sugar, still contains carbohydrates that must be metabolized. The least damaging forms of alcohol are typically dry wines and distilled spirits like vodka, whiskey, or gin, since they do not contain added sugar. But even with these, moderation is important. Alcohol is not inherently catastrophic if consumed sparingly. The danger comes when it becomes habitual, or when it is combined with the type of sugary mixes that overload the liver rapidly. For people with existing metabolic issues, even small amounts of alcohol may have larger effects. Another major offender is vegetable oil, and this one surprises many people because the name sounds wholesome. The term vegetable oil leads people to think of carrots, broccoli, or leafy greens, but in reality, vegetable oils come from seeds and legumes, soybeans, corn, cottonseed, safflower, sunflower, and canola. These oils are extracted using intense heat, pressure, and chemical solvents. As a result, the delicate fats oxidize and become unstable long before they reach your kitchen. Once consumed, these oxidized fats generate inflammation throughout the body, including inside the liver. They also create an imbalance between omega-6 and omega-3 fats, pushing the body toward a chronic inflammatory state that the liver must work overtime to manage. The problem isn't just that these oils are used in cooking. They are everywhere, in salad dressings, condiments, crackers, frozen meals, dips, baked goods, and restaurant foods. Even seemingly healthy snacks often contain these oils because they are cheap, shelf-stable, and easy to use in mass production. The liver is responsible for breaking down oxidized fats, and when these oils are consumed daily, the cumulative effect can be overwhelming. Natural fats like extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, small amounts of coconut oil, or the naturally occurring fats found in nuts, seeds, and high-quality meats are far more stable and supportive of healthy liver function. Fried foods take the vegetable oil problem a step further. Restaurants rarely use fresh oil for each batch of food. Instead, the oil is reused repeatedly throughout the day. Each time the oil is heated, it becomes more oxidized and more chemically damaged. Small particles of food left behind burn and decay in the oil, adding to the toxic load. When you eat something fried in this environment, such as French fries, fried chicken, onion rings, or fried seafood, you are not just eating damaged oil. You are eating the accumulated toxins created throughout hours of reheating cycles. These compounds enter the bloodstream and make their way to the liver, which must then begin the process of neutralizing and disposing of them. Closely related to this is the issue of margarine and shortening. These products were originally marketed as healthier alternatives to butter, but they are actually heavily processed oils that have been chemically altered. To make liquid seed oils solid at room temperature, manufacturers hydrogenate them, changing the structure of the fat molecules. This process produces trans fats, which the body does not recognize and cannot break down properly. Even when labels claim 0 grams trans fat, the product may still contain partially hydrogenated oils because labeling laws allow manufacturers to round down small amounts. Once trans fats enter the body, they interfere with cellular function and create inflammation throughout the liver and circulatory system. Unlike natural fats, which the body can use for energy or cell repair, trans fats tend to accumulate and cause long-term harm. From here, the problem grows even larger when we consider the amount of processed food in the modern diet. Walk through the center aisles of any supermarket, and you'll see shelf after shelf of items designed to last for months or even years. These foods rely on combinations of refined flour, sugar, damaged oils, artificial additives, preservatives, and flavor enhancers to maintain their texture and taste. While they may be convenient, they provide almost no nutritional value and require the liver to work harder than ever just to filter out the substances the body cannot use. Meanwhile, the nutrients the liver needs to detoxify and repair itself are missing from these foods. Over time, this combination, high toxic load and low nutrient availability, makes the liver more vulnerable to inflammation, fat accumulation, and scarring. To understand why processed foods create so much strain, it helps to look at how the liver detoxifies harmful substances. The liver uses two major phases of detoxification. In the first phase, it neutralizes toxins using enzymes that depend on B vitamins and antioxidants like vitamins A, C, and E. If the diet is lacking in these nutrients, the first phase cannot function efficiently. In the second phase, the liver must make these toxins water-soluble so they can be removed through urine or bile. This stage depends heavily on amino acids found in protein-rich foods, especially those containing sulfur, like methionine and cysteine. The body uses these amino acids to create glutathione, the most powerful detoxifying antioxidant inside liver cells. When the liver is constantly exposed to processed ingredients, but deprived of real nutrients, it struggles to keep up. The detoxification process slows, inflammation rises, and fat begins accumulating far more easily. Fast food creates a perfect storm because it combines nearly all the problematic ingredients at once. The buns and breadings are made with refined flour. The sauces and drinks contain sugar or high-fructose corn syrup. The frying oils are old and heavily oxidized. The meat is often low in quality and mixed with fillers. Add in artificial flavorings, preservatives, and colorings, and the liver is hit with a barrage of compounds it must immediately process. Fast food may be convenient, inexpensive, and engineered to taste addictive, but the trade-off is a heavy metabolic burden that eventually disrupts hormonal balance, contributes to insulin resistance, and accelerates fat buildup in the liver. Despite how widespread these issues are, many people don't realize how unusual this situation is from a historical perspective. Type 2 diabetes was once considered extremely rare. For most of human history, it barely existed. Yet today, it can be found at alarming rates in countries large and small. The common thread is that people have shifted from whole foods to processed, refined, sugary, and heavily engineered foods that overwhelm the liver. Chronic diseases that once took decades to develop can now unfold in a matter of years, sometimes even in young adults. To drive home how much the global landscape has changed, consider countries where diabetes affects 1 in 11 adults, 1 in 10, 1 in 9, 1 in 6, or even 1 in 5. In some regions, the rate is now more than 1 in 3. These numbers are not driven by biology but by diet, lifestyle, and modern food manufacturing. When you step back and look at the larger pattern, it becomes clear that none of these harmful foods are necessary for health, and none of them existed in significant quantities in the diets of earlier generations. In other words, most of the foods pushing people toward liver disease today are not foods at all. They are products created in factories. This brings us to another category that strains the liver: modern baked goods and pastries. Muffins, donuts, cookies, toaster pastries, cinnamon rolls, brownies, cupcakes. These items are made almost entirely from refined flour, sugar, vegetable oils, syrups, preservatives, and artificial flavors. They contain virtually everything the liver struggles with, and nothing the liver needs to function well. In the past, baked treats were occasional indulgences, often made at home using simple ingredients. But today, they have become everyday breakfast foods or snacks. Some people begin their day with a toaster pastry or a commercially baked muffin and end their day with another sweet treat. Because these foods digest quickly and contain no fiber or protein to slow absorption, they cause major spikes in blood sugar and insulin, amplifying fat storage within the liver. Many people assume these foods are harmless because they grew up eating them, or because they are heavily advertised. But once you learn what is actually inside them, it becomes clear why they have become such a major contributor to metabolic and liver problems worldwide. These items are designed for convenience and taste, not for nourishment. The issue is not that people indulge once in a while. The issue is that these products are consumed so frequently that they effectively replace real food. Numerous surveys show that tens of millions of people eat products like toaster pastries regularly, and similar patterns appear across snack cakes, packaged cookies, and sweetened breakfast goods. When processed treats become staples, the liver is forced to deal with the same combination of sugar, starch, damaged fat, preservatives, and chemical additives day after day. Over time, this constant pressure contributes to fatty liver, increased inflammation, and a reduced ability to detoxify waste. The remarkable part is that when people begin replacing even a portion of these foods with whole, nutrient-dense options, their liver markers and metabolic health often improve more quickly than expected. The liver wants to heal. It simply needs the right environment to do so. All of this brings us to a powerful realization. The vast majority of foods that cause liver damage are not foods in the traditional sense. They are engineered products created to be shelf-stable, hyperpalatable, and profitable, not nourishing. When these products dominate a diet, liver function gradually weakens because the organ is forced to deal with an endless stream of substances it was never designed to process. Fat builds up, inflammation rises, detoxification slows, and over time people begin experiencing symptoms without understanding the root cause. Some notice weight accumulating around the belly. Others develop fatigue, brain fog, or trouble digesting fatty meals. Some people never recognize the symptoms at all until blood tests reveal elevated liver enzymes or imaging studies reveal fat infiltration. What makes this situation so challenging is how normal these foods have become. They are advertised everywhere, placed at eye level in stores, included in school lunches, and celebrated during holidays and social outings. People grow up eating them and assume they are simply part of modern life. But deep down, the liver cannot be fooled. It responds to biochemical reality, not marketing or convenience. It needs nutrients, antioxidants, amino acids, healthy fats, and fiber. It does not thrive on a combination of refined carbs, sugars, damaged oils, artificial chemicals, and preservatives. Understanding what harms the liver is only half the puzzle. The other half is recognizing how quickly the body can turn things around when given the chance. The liver is incredibly adaptive. Even after years of strain, if you remove the harmful inputs and start replacing them with supportive foods, the liver begins clearing out fat, calming inflammation, and repairing damaged tissue. This is why some people see improvements within weeks of changing their diet, and even more profound transformations over the course of months. When you begin shifting away from refined and processed foods, one of the first things many people notice is more stable energy. Blood sugar no longer rises and crashes throughout the day. Hunger becomes more predictable and cravings diminish. This is because the liver is no longer constantly overwhelmed and flooded with sugar. It must convert to fat. Instead, it can gradually switch back to burning stored fat for energy, which is one of its natural roles. As insulin levels drop, the body becomes more metabolically flexible. Fatigue decreases, and many people find they think more clearly and sleep more deeply. Another change people often experience is improved digestion. When damaged oils, heavy fried foods, sugary beverages, and processed snacks are removed from the diet, the digestive system no longer has to deal with the inflammatory response these foods provoke. Bile flows more freely, stomach acid becomes more balanced, and the gut microbiome begins to shift toward healthier populations of bacteria. This directly affects the liver because the liver and digestive tract work in constant partnership. When one improves, the other often follows. And yet, the most profound improvements happen silently within the liver itself. As toxic load decreases and nutrient intake rises, Phase 1 and Phase 2 detoxification pathways strengthen. Glutathione production increases. Fat deposits begin breaking down. Enzyme levels improve. The liver becomes more efficient at regulating cholesterol, balancing hormones, and stabilizing blood sugar. Many people who once struggled with stubborn weight loss find that their body composition begins shifting once the liver is no longer congested. This is not because of extreme dieting, but because metabolism becomes more aligned with how the body was designed to function. Over time, these improvements ripple outward. When the liver becomes healthier, many other systems improve as well. Skin may become clearer, mood may stabilize, brain fog may lift, blood pressure can improve. People often describe feeling lighter, not only physically but mentally, because their body is no longer battling the hidden inflammation that processed foods create. But for these changes to last, it helps to adopt a new perspective on food. Instead of thinking in terms of restriction, focus on nourishment. The goal isn't to simply avoid harmful foods, it's to replace them with foods that actively support the body. When people shift from white flour products to whole vegetables, when they replace sugary drinks with water or herbal tea, when they swap fried foods for baked or grilled options, when they choose natural fats like olive oil over processed oils, they are giving the liver what it needs to restore itself. It also helps to be aware of your environment. The modern world is full of convenience foods that are engineered to be addictive. They combine sugar, refined flour, and unstable oils in ways that trigger the brain's reward pathways, making it easy to overeat and difficult to stop once you start. This isn't a matter of willpower, it's a matter of biology. But once you understand what these foods do, and once you experience how much better you feel without them, you start to see them differently. They stop looking like treats and start looking like obstacles to your health and energy. Reclaiming your liver health doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. Even small changes, when practiced regularly, can lead to meaningful improvements. You don't have to eliminate every harmful food at once. You can begin by reducing sugary drinks, then gradually replacing processed snacks with whole food alternatives. You can start cooking more meals at home, choosing natural fats, and incorporating more vegetables. Every positive change supports your liver's natural ability to heal. One of the most encouraging truths is that liver damage does not have to be a lifelong sentence. While advanced scarring can take time to resolve, fat accumulation and early inflammatory changes can improve significantly once the diet and lifestyle shift back toward balance. Around the world, people who once struggled with fatigue, weight gain, high triglycerides, or elevated liver enzymes are experiencing transformation simply by returning to whole, unprocessed foods and honoring the body's natural rhythms. The liver responds generously when supported. It just needs space to do its job. So as you move forward, keep this in mind. Your liver is your lifelong partner in health. It works tirelessly to protect you, filter your blood, regulate your metabolism, balance your hormones, and support your immune system. It does not complain loudly when overloaded. It simply does its best with whatever you give it. When you choose foods that nourish rather than burden it, you unlock one of the most powerful forms of healing available to you. Every meal becomes an opportunity to support your body, strengthen your metabolism, and build long-term resilience. Thank you for watching and for taking the time to understand your health on a deeper level. The more you learn, the more empowered you become. And if you're ready to continue your journey, there are many more simple steps you can take to protect your liver, reverse damage, and create a body that feels strong, energized, and alive.